I know it's not easy to change overnight. No one is saying it will be quick or simple to start acting this way. But imagine a life where the weight of the unnecessary no longer holds you down. A life where you gradually learn to be more flexible in the face of challenges, lighter in your choices, and more present in every moment that life offers you. This life, so full of peace and meaning, isn't just a distant dream. It's within your reach. And do you know the best part? There's nothing or no one you need to start. There's no ideal moment or the right day. The perfect moment is exactly right here, right now. Just take the first step, no matter how small, and make room for this transformation. Because deep down, it all starts with you. It's a decision, a commitment to yourself. The question is, are you ready to allow yourself to live truly? If so, then today is already the first day of this new journey. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You're truly here, present in the now, living this moment, and that's something rare, being completely immersed in reflection, seeking something that touches the soul and makes sense in the heart. If you've reached this point, write until the end in the comments to mark your presence. Take this moment as we're on this journey together to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and of course share it with someone who needs to hear this. On the screen, you'll find other videos filled with the power and wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Choose one, and I'll see you there. I remember a parable about an old wise man who lived in a village. One day, a young man visited him, desperate. "Wise one, my son left. My wife is ill. My wife is ill. My work is chaos. I can't control anything." The wise man looked at him, calling to a huge tree in the distance. "See that tree? It has stood for generations." The young man, still agitated, replied, "Yes, but what does that have to do with my suffering?" The wise man smiled and said, "The tree doesn't fight against the wind. It bends, but it never breaks. In the same way, we cannot fight against what we cannot control. The key is in how we adapt, how we remain strong even when things seem out of place." What the wise man was saying is what Epictetus and Seneca taught. Life, like the wind, will bring difficulties, storms, and moments we can't control. But our peace, our freedom comes from accepting that and choosing how we deal with the challenges. It's not about being passive, but understanding that sometimes true strength lies in knowing where to place our energy. I know it's not easy, but imagine for a second if you started looking at challenges differently. What if, instead of getting lost in frustration, you chose to adapt? What if you surrendered to the flow of life, like the river that doesn't fight against the current? It would be like breathing again, like finally freeing yourself from what binds you. This is what Epictetus and Seneca believed, that true freedom comes from stopping the attempt to control everything around us. When we accept the uncontrollable, we begin to find peace. It's not about what happens to you, but how you choose to respond. So the next time the uncontrollable happens, don't get lost. Breathe deeply. See the situation as an opportunity to learn to flow. And remember, the river doesn't fight against the water. It simply goes with it. I'm not saying it will be easy. I'm not saying you won't face challenges, but how you choose to react, how you face tough moments, that's totally in your hands. And that's where the true key lies, not in changing everything around you, but in changing how you react to it all. I know many of you are going through heavy things. We all have our battles. Maybe you're dealing with something you can't control, something that hurts deeply and seems unsolvable. But I invite you to take a step back and reflect on what is really in your hands. What can you change in yourself? Sometimes the greatest power we have is our attitude in the storm. You don't need to be strong all the time. You don't need to have everything under control all the time. Sometimes the greatest strength is simply allowing yourself not to know, not having all the answers, and accepting what comes. Because by doing that, you begin to find peace in the midst of chaos, and believe me, it's there. It's available to you. The Stoic philosopher Seneca, for example, talks about how we should live according to our own reason and not get lost in external expectations. He says that when we stop seeking validation from the outside and focus on the inside, we gain an unbeatable freedom. And this freedom is not just emotional, but also practical. By being true to ourselves, we can experience a sense of authenticity that nothing else can offer. Now, think about how this plays out in your everyday life. How many times have you pressured yourself to meet expectations that didn't reflect your true self? Maybe you've compared yourself to someone who always seems ahead, or forced yourself to be something you didn't want to be. This constant struggle, trying to meet standards that aren't yours, only creates unnecessary burdens. But if you stop and reflect on who you really are, without external influences, you'll see that freedom is within your reach. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to adjust to what others expect. You just need to be true to yourself. True freedom doesn't come from controlling the world around you, but from controlling how you respond to it. By learning to live without the chains of expectations, you begin to realize that peace is not something outside of you, but inside of you. Every step you take toward your true essence is a step toward freedom. So the next time you feel pressured, remember the bird in the cage. The door is open. The only thing you need to do is fly. And by doing so, you'll discover that true freedom is living without being a prisoner of expectations. Living the life that is uniquely and authentically yours. Now, after covering all of this, I'd like to have a sincere conversation with you. You know those days when everything falls apart, traffic, work, pressure, and you feel small, powerless, as if control slips from your hands? The truth is, what binds you isn't the problems, but your attempt to control the uncontrollable. Think of a river. It doesn't fight against the rocks. It doesn't force its path. It flows, goes around, and moves forward. We, on the other hand, struggle against the current, drowning in unnecessary worries. Epictetus said it best. It's not what happens that disturbs us, but how we interpret what happens. Strong, right? The world will be chaotic, but your peace lies in your reaction. Seneca reminds us that the greatest obstacle to happiness is expecting everything to align. Life isn't about control, but about acceptance. Let go of control and watch how peace can emerge. When chaos tries to consume you, take those moments as a refuge where true peace isn't something you search for outside, but something you find within yourself. The freedom of not being a prisoner of expectations. We live in a world where expectations are everywhere. Societies, families, friends, and even our own. These expectations are like invisible chains that bind us, dictating who we should be, what we should achieve, and how we should behave. But what if true freedom lies in breaking free from these expectations? What if the peace we seek is the opposite of enslaving ourselves to a life that isn't ours, but one designed by others? Imagine for a moment a bird born to fly, but trapped in a cage with the door open. It looks at the sky, feels the wind, and longs for freedom, but hesitates. Fear of flying, the doubt of whether it will be accepted, the weight of all the expectations around it bind it. But what if it could free itself from all that? What if it chose to follow its instinct, its nature? In that moment, it would no longer be a prisoner of expectations, but would become the master of its own destiny. That's how we are. Many times we are so immersed in external expectations that we forget who we really are. The search for approval, the fear of failure, the pressure to meet others' expectations take away our freedom to live fully. We become trapped in a version of ourselves that wasn't chosen, but imposed on us. When we stop being prisoners of expectations, something powerful happens. We break free. We're no longer living to please others or to fulfill expectations that aren't ours. We're finally living for ourselves. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus teaches us, it's not things that disturb us, but the opinions we have about them. This means the key to freedom lies in how we perceive what happens to us, and most importantly, what we choose to internalize. Think of someone who spent years trying to impress coworkers and friends, buying things they didn't need to appear successful. An unaffordable car, brand name clothes that didn't represent them, going to places where they never felt comfortable. This person lives trapped in a cycle of appearances, always trying to meet external expectations that only bring emptiness. But what if one day they decide to stop, to live simply, to prioritize what really matters, and break free from that endless race? The peace that comes from abandoning masks is transformative. They can finally experience the lightness of being true to themselves, free from the pressures and the weight of others' approval. By learning to embrace solitude, you begin to see that, contrary to what the world makes us believe, loneliness isn't a burden. It's an opportunity for renewal. In the silence, you can finally hear your own voice, the one drowned out by daily demands. You start to understand your own feelings, your wants, and your limits. Solitude is the space where you have the chance to reconnect with what truly matters to you, free from external influences. This process of self-discovery can be deep and challenging. We often fear being alone because we face internal issues we've been avoiding. We might fear our own thoughts, our insecurities, or even realize how far we've drifted from who we truly want to be. But solitude is an invitation to confront these things. It's when you're alone that you find the space to free yourself from others' expectations and begin living for yourself. True peace comes when you are fully present in the moment, without hurry, without the weight of obligations. Imagine having some time just for yourself, to reflect, to simply be. This moment doesn't have to be long. Sometimes just a few minutes of solitude away from external demands can be enough to recharge your energy and clear your mind. True solitude isn't an escape, but a reconnection. It's a space to breathe amidst a world that never stops. By finding this inner peace, you become more resilient in the face of adversity. The pressures of work, endless conversations, and life's demands begin to lose their power to unbalance you. You learn to respond calmly, to stay centered, to find clarity even amidst chaos. Solitude isn't about isolating yourself from the world. It's about learning to live with it in a more conscious and balanced way. The art of being at peace is knowing when to step back and take care of yourself, recognizing that to be the best for the world around you, you first need to be the best for yourself. So the next time you feel the weight of external voices or the pressure of the world, don't be afraid to give yourself that time. Solitude is more than a necessity. It's an opportunity. It allows you to find peace in the midst of the noise and rush. Now, think about what you are trying to control that is beyond your reach. Let go of that now. Stop pressuring yourself. Stop insisting on something that only hurts you. Make space for true peace. The peace that doesn't come from force, but from acceptance. Allowing life to happen at its own pace. You'll realize that when you stop forcing things, that's when things truly begin to flow for you. And that's what brings true peace. Solitude, the art of being at peace. Have you ever felt the constant weight of the world around you? The incessant noise of traffic, the side conversations at work, the never-ending notifications on your phone? Modern life pushes us into an endless cycle of interactions, commitments, and distractions. We're so used to being surrounded by people, tasks, and noise that we forget how valuable silence is. Solitude, this often feared and misunderstood art, is exactly the opportunity to reclaim peace amidst chaos. Imagine it's a busy morning at work. The office is full of colleagues chatting about their projects, the phone is ringing, keyboards are clacking frantically, and the coffee is being served with that unmistakable sound. You're there trying to focus, but it feels like your mind is being torn apart by external stimuli. The pressure to be productive has never been stronger, and your energy is scattered everywhere. You feel that amidst so many voices, perhaps the loudest noise is the one inside you: anxiety, the feeling of not measuring up, the fear of not being enough. Now, imagine you decide to step back. You leave that whirlwind behind, find a quiet corner, or maybe go for a walk outside. The first moments of silence might feel uncomfortable. The inner noise is intense at first. Your thoughts clash, the mind screams for more stimuli, more tasks, but it's in that moment that the magic begins. Over time, you'll start to feel that solitude isn't the end of the world. It's a necessary space to regain your balance. True solitude isn't just being alone. It's being at peace with yourself, away from other people's expectations and the pressure of the environment around you. At work, for example, we're constantly pushed to be faster, more efficient, more connected. The excess of meetings, emails, and instant messages demands our attention, as if our energy were a currency always in demand. But who are we beyond our work? Where is our essence when we're absorbed by everything imposed on us? Imagine this scenario. You're in a relationship that no longer makes sense, but you keep forcing it. You try to change the other person, make sacrifices, thinking that if you fight hard enough, things will improve. But what happens? Nothing. What you feel is anger, frustration, and in the end, the regret of having wasted time on something that was beyond your control. Or maybe you have a project that is stuck, going around in circles. You try everything. But with each attempt, you feel more pressure. And what does this create? Anxiety. Your heart races, your mind doesn't rest, and life loses its color. Here's the truth: you're doing everything wrong. Life doesn't work like that. You're insisting on swimming against the current, and the worst part is you're drowning and don't even realize it. When you force the uncontrollable, you're choosing suffering. Want to know what's stronger than that? The courage to let go. See, I know it's not easy. I know the temptation to control everything is huge. We want our children to follow the right path, our work to bring us happiness, and our lives to go smoothly. But what happens when nothing goes as planned? Will you drown trying to force things, or will you learn to flow? Imagine you're holding a rope tied to a boat that is being carried away by the current. The harder you pull, the more the rope cuts into your hands, hurting you and leaving you exhausted. The boat is the current of life, and what you can't keep holding on to only increases your pain. But what if you let go of the rope? Isn't that liberating? The boat will follow its course, and you will finally find relief. Letting go is not giving up, it's choosing peace. Stoic philosophy is simple, but profoundly powerful. It teaches you to see what's within your control and to focus on that without wasting time trying to control the rest. Accepting the uncontrollable is not weakness, it's wisdom. It doesn't mean you'll give up on what you want. It means you stop hurting yourself and focus on where you can actually act. Now, if you're thinking, I'm strong, I can control everything, the truth is, that's an illusion. No control is absolute. Change, like the loss of someone you love or the way the world turns regardless of your desires, are uncontrollable realities. Fighting against them only tires you out and, in the end, pulls you into an emotional abyss. True freedom comes when you accept that by letting go, you gain. There's no peace in excessive effort, in the anxiety of trying to force the uncontrollable. Peace is found in the space you create for the unexpected, for what life has to offer, without needing to fight for everything to go your way. Gratitude is a practice, not a fleeting emotion. It's something you can cultivate daily, like someone planting seeds in a garden. Over time, it transforms the landscape of your mind. Where there was once scarcity, you begin to see abundance. Where there were complaints, you discover reasons to be thankful. Let me give you a simple example. Try starting and ending your day with a powerful question. What can I be thankful for today? At first, the answer may seem small. I woke up, the day was calm, I received a smile from someone. But over time, you'll realize that the small things are, in fact, the most valuable. Gratitude also connects us with others. When you're grateful, you begin to see the impact of people in your life more deeply. You recognize who has been by your side, who inspired you, who did something for you, even if it was something small. By expressing this gratitude, you strengthen bonds and create a positive cycle. The more you express gratitude, the more love and connection you receive. And finally, gratitude reminds us of something essential. Life is brief and imperfect, but it is still a gift. Every day you live is a unique, irreplaceable opportunity. The things you take for granted today, your health, your relationships, even the simple act of breathing, might not be here tomorrow. So why wait to recognize their value? Practicing the art of gratitude isn't just an act of positivity. It's a way to live more fully, more consciously, and more connected to the present. It's choosing, day by day, to see life for what it is, not for what it could or should be. Gratitude doesn't transform what we have into something bigger, but it teaches us to see that what we have is already enough. May we learn step by step to enjoy this profoundly human and transformative art. Don't force the uncontrollable. No pressure, just peace. Have you ever stopped to think that at every moment, you're trying to force life to be your way? This topic, which is the title of this video, probably touches you. You try to control every detail, make things happen your way, and what has that brought you so far? Stress, frustration, exhaustion. Well, here's something you may not want to hear. We don't have control over everything. And trying to control the uncontrollable only destroys you from the inside. The art of gratitude. Gratitude is a subtle yet powerful key that can unlock the deepest doors of the soul. It's not just a simple act of saying thank you for something good that happened. It's a state of awareness, an exercise in presence, and above all, a way to find meaning and beauty even in the most complex webs of life. Being grateful is a choice. It doesn't automatically appear when things are going well, nor does it disappear when we face challenges. It's a constant invitation to look beyond the obvious, to see clearly what is in front of us, no matter how big or small, easy or challenging. But here's the question: why does gratitude seem so difficult sometimes? Maybe because we've been conditioned to always seek more. We live in a world that teaches us to focus on what's missing, the things we haven't achieved yet, what someone else has that we don't, what we think we need to be happy. This obsession with more robs our ability to appreciate the now. Something outside of yourself, and taking the time to observe what is already present, is simply the act of opening your eyes to the things that usually go unnoticed. The taste of a home-cooked meal, the sound of rain on the roof, the warm embrace of a loved one. Even in the most difficult moments, those days when life seems turned upside down, there's space for gratitude. It's not about ignoring the pain, but about finding a thread of light within it. Maybe it's the lesson that difficulty brought, or the strength you didn't even know you had. Maybe it's the person who held your hand when you had no strength left. You're holding on to something you should have let go of long ago, and fear still holds you back. Know that letting go is an act of courage, not weakness. When you finally release it, you'll feel what your heart has been asking for: lightness, freedom, and peace. Letting go is not the end. It's the beginning of a life truly worth living. So leave your mark by deciding that this year you will live with peace without pressure. Because after all, you deserve it. Live the journey. The outcome is just a detail. We live in a world obsessed with achievements. We're taught to chase goals, to reach results, to prove our worth. But in the middle of this race, how many times have you stopped to appreciate the path? How many times have you looked around and realized what you already have, what you've already achieved, what is happening right now? The truth is, focusing only on the destination robs us of the essence of life. Life isn't in the moment you cross the finish line. It's in every step you take to get there. It's in the good days, the bad days, the stumbles, and the small victories that you often don't even notice. Imagine a traveler who only thinks about the end of their journey. They don't look out the window, feel the wind on their face, or talk to anyone along the way. They are so fixated on the destination that they miss the whole experience of traveling. Life is the same. If you only live for the result, you miss what really matters: the journey. To enjoy the journey means to be present. It means finding joy in the process, even if it's slow, imperfect, or challenging. It's appreciating the conversations, the lessons, the mistakes, and the discoveries. It's understanding that every moment has something to offer if you're willing to see it. The result, no matter how grand, is just a moment. Think about a goal you achieved in the past, something you worked hard for. What stands out most in your memory? The exact moment you succeeded, or everything you lived through to get there? The result is an achievement, yes, but the journey is where you truly live, grow, and transform. And here's what's curious: when you learn to enjoy the journey, the weight of the result lessens. It stops being an obsession and becomes a natural consequence. You begin to free yourself from the anxiety of reaching it and start to marvel at being here, right now. So take a moment. Where are you right now? What are you learning, feeling, living? It might not be perfect, but it's yours. And it's exactly here, in this moment, that life happens. Enjoying the journey is an act of courage. It's resisting the pressure to live only for the future and finding beauty in the present. Because in the end, when everything passes, what you'll really remember isn't the result, but the path you walked. Life is not a race, it's a journey. Appreciate every step. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You're present in the now, living in the moment. Take this time to subscribe. So stop, look inside yourself and ask, what would I do if there were no tomorrow? Who would I embrace? What would I say? What fear would I let go of? What dream would I take out of the drawer? Live as if each day were the only one, because deep down it is. Tomorrow is not guaranteed, but today is here, and it's your chance to make it count. Don't put off for tomorrow what your heart asks for today. Embrace life as it is, imperfect, fleeting, but incredibly precious. And when you close your eyes at the end of the day, let your soul whisper in peace, "Today I lived." Letting go is not weakness, it's the courage to begin again. Letting go is one of the hardest things we face in life, not because our hands don't know how to release, but because our hearts insist on holding on. It's letting go of what once was, what once made sense, and facing the silence that remains. But you know what? That silence is not the end. It's the beginning of something greater, the courage to start over. So often, we cling to what no longer belongs to us. A relationship that has lost its essence, a dream that no longer resonates with our soul, or even a version of ourselves that no longer serves us. Why? Because we are afraid. Afraid of losing, afraid of failing, afraid of not knowing what comes next. But holding on to what's broken doesn't protect you. It only prolongs the pain. Letting go is not giving up, it's accepting. Accepting that life is made of moments, and there is no force in the world that can hold on to what must leave. It's the courage to say, this no longer defines who I am. I allow myself to begin again. Letting go is an act of self-love. It's recognizing that you don't need to carry the weight of the past to build the future. Your strength is not in fighting against the current, but in flowing with it. Because only those who have the courage to let go of the old can embrace the new. Yes, it's painful, but you know what's more painful? Living trapped in something that suffocates you, that consumes you, that stops you from growing. Letting go is the liberation of the soul, the moment when you look at life and say, I trust in what is to come. I'm ready to begin again. And beginning again is not a step back, it's a leap forward. It's proof that you believe in yourself, that even in the face of emptiness, you know you can create something new, something better, something that truly fills you. So look inside yourself. What are you holding on to? Have you ever realized that you're draining yourself by trying to force life to be the way you want it? Holding on to things that slip through your fingers? Tell me, what has that brought you so far? Peace, happiness, or just frustration? Let me be honest with you. Life doesn't work that way. Stop forcing the uncontrollable. Take a deep breath and live in peace. Stoic philosophy teaches us something that many never understand. The real power is in accepting what's beyond our control. This isn't giving up, it's wisdom. It's about consciously choosing where to put your energy. Today I want to show you how letting go of the fight against the inevitable can free your mind and soul. I'll show you how to let life flow at its own pace, without unnecessary struggles or pressure, just peace. True freedom begins the moment you decide. If you're new here, subscribe and like this video. Let's get started. Live for today, tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Have you ever felt the weight of living while waiting for tomorrow, as if happiness, forgiveness, or even the courage to act always need another day to arrive? Let me tell you a simple truth that might touch your soul. All you have is the present. This moment, this breath, this instant that's happening while you listen to these words. Life is a breath, a delicate balance between what was and what hasn't come yet. How many times have we delayed the most important things, the I love you that gets stuck, the hug that never happens, the dreams we keep locked away in a dusty drawer? Why? Because we think time will wait for us, but it doesn't. Time just passes. The Stoics taught us a lesson that cuts deep, but it's liberating. Memento mori, remember that you will die, not as a threat, but as a call to awaken. There's nothing more powerful than realizing that every moment is unique and will never come again. Every smile, every word, every choice is an irreversible piece of your story. So what are you waiting for? Why do you keep putting off the life you deserve to live, the forgiveness you need to give, the leap you should have taken long ago? That later you keep repeating may never come. The people you love won't always be here. Forever, you won't be here today. You have a gift in your hands, the present, and it is all that matters. Look around you, feel the air entering your lungs, listen to the sounds of the world. Realize that, in this very moment, you are alive. This is no small miracle, it is the greatest of all. Life is not waiting for the future. It's here, now, in this moment that you can fill with purpose, love, and truth.